Welcome to PrepsNet Coach Speak with Corner Yellow Jackets head football coach Trent Campbell, powered by Campus Traditions. Here's your host, Aubrey Johnson.
Welcome in, Coach.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so the last 2 weeks you've split with a win and a loss. Let's talk about them. You, first of all, back on September 5th, you had a win against Wenonah, 28-13. Tell us about that night.
That Wenonah game was a tough one, a really important win for us.
Yeah.
We didn't start real well in the first half, not as well as I think we're capable of, and then really came out and battled against that team. I felt like at any point we could take the upper hand, and it just never. It wasn't happening. Their defense played fantastic.
Yeah.
I think they were really a lot better in the box against the run than we had thought they were going to be, and so all credit to them. But we were able to make a couple plays in the fourth quarter and win it in the fourth. And I think Wenonah's a playoff team, and so winning a game against a playoff team, I don't care what it looks like.
It's always great.
You get that win, and I think it's really, really
important.
1
point win would be nice, but you did much better than that.
Absolutely.
Good
yes.
deal.
It felt more like a 1 point win than the score looks.
Okay.
We scored a couple times in the fourth to take control of it, but we left it late for sure.
Okay. Well, who played well in that game?
Spencer had a great game. He really provided a spark in the throw game, actually. We were able to complete a pass to him early in the second half. I believe it was first drive of the second half.
Right.
We were able to make some adjustments at halftime, and the coach, offensive staff saw something that they thought they could take advantage of, and we when you hear that stuff at halftime, sometimes you come out in the second half, it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
And I know getting him the ball and letting him make a play was definitely something going into the second half that we were excited about, that could potentially break a big play for us, and he made a couple guys miss and went and scored. So Spencer had a great game. I feel like Keaton at quarterback was sort of a tale of two halves. Looked unsettled at times in the first half, but then I thought threw it really well in the second half. We made a great play on a fourth down in their territory in the fourth quarter where it was about 4th and 8, and we threw a deep ball down the middle of the field and gunner right. I mean, it's one of those that you dream about. It's full extension.
Oh, wow.
And he catches the ball inside the 5-yard line to give us a first down and really iced that game in a situation where we were up and at a point in the field where if you punt it, it's probably going to go in the end zone.
Yeah.
And so you're going to get a net 15, 16, 17-yard punt. And let's just go for it, especially playing with the lead. And that's one of the luxuries of playing with the lead. And that's why it's so important to establish yourself in that lead, because as a coach, your whole mentality on how to approach those big situations changes if you're winning rather than losing.
Right.
And so kids went and made a great play, and really, really excited about that. Defensively, C.J. Brown has just been a consistent performer for us all year.
Right.
And so he was excellent. I think Jacob Odom continues to play real well up front, and we did a good job getting after the quarterback. Even used some specialty guys late in the game to put some extra speed on the edge, coming off the edge against their offensive tackles, and it allowed us to create some pressure that unsettled their throw game late when they were trying to score fast. So all around good performance from the guys.
Good deal. Then on the 12th, you played Ramsay. A little bit different outcome there. Yeah. They are a very tough team, Coach, and they beat you 34-14. Tell us what happened in that one.
I think when we talked about it before we played them, they were 0-3. And I told you guys, they're the best 0-3 team in the state.
Exactly.
And they showed that, That's not they've played some really tough competition, and they showed up for the game. And to be honest, I don't want to definitely don't take anything away from them. They're a well-coached team. They're extremely talented.
For sure.
But we played flat. I mean, we came out flat. You could feel it. I don't know whether it was going to Legion Field and the kids not being used to that sort of environment, because it is a very different experience. You're in this huge soup bowl that, there's not many fans there.
Right.
It's quiet, it's really, really quiet. It's tough to make that place loud. It was extremely quiet. I made a joke before the game that I could hear fans' cell phones going off in the crowd behind us. It was just, you could hear crickets in the stadium.
Yeah.
And I think that's also a product of our team and the intensity that they played with. And so that's all on me, It's on me and our seniors, the leadership of our team. We've got to make sure that we show up for every single one of them. It's tough to get these kids to understand that, you get a finite number of opportunities to play this game. And for so many of them, when that last high school game ends, like it's over.
It's over.
And
no do-overs.
And I hate it, and hopefully we learn from it. But I feel like we wasted one. I feel like we wasted a Friday night, and that's a tough pill to swallow. And so,
it is.
I've had to reflect on my performance, and the coaches have had to reflect on their performance, and the players hopefully have reflected on their performance. And we just didn't bring. I told them all week that Ramsay was more talented than us, and that if we just matched their intensity, that we'd lose the game. That we had to exceed their intensity. We had to bring the intensity, and we definitely didn't. We started the game sort of especially defensively, sort of feeling our way into it, unsure of ourselves. I didn't see kids flying downhill full speed. I saw people sort of hesitant, afraid to make a mistake. And that fear of failure, that being fearful to make a mistake, it's never going to lead to good things, especially when you're playing a talented team like Ramsay. And so at one point in the game, I sort of felt like it didn't matter what I called defensively. We weren't going to stop it because the kids were just, we were scrambled.
They were in their head.
We were scrambled. And like we went in at halftime, and to our kids' credit, we went toe-to-toe with them in the third quarter. And to me, there's a product of Ramsay having a decent lead at halftime, and potentially they relaxed. But went toe-to-toe with them in the third quarter. It's a scoreless third quarter, and we're going in for a score. But when you're down by 2 scores in the fourth quarter, you have to not get reckless, but you do have to take some chances. And so there's a couple of fourth downs that we didn't convert. And, we go back and look at that game. If we convert even one of those fourth downs in the fourth quarter, when the game was still 21-7, you're looking at a 21-14 game in the fourth. And you've given yourself a chance to go win it in the fourth quarter. But it didn't happen, and we learned from that. And again, it's 2 different sides of the coin. Against Wenonah, we enter the later phases of that game in the lead, and we can take some chances. Against Ramsay, you enter into the later chances of the game, and you don't have the lead, and you have to take some chances. And they sort of backfired on us. We threw a pick 6 on a fourth down play, and their talent shone through, and we just didn't execute as well as we needed to.
Okay, very good. Any notable injuries from the last 2 weeks?
3
weeks, actually.
No new notable injuries. Just the regular wear and tear stuff in practice that I feel like has plagued this team more than any other I've ever been a part of. And so that has been an interesting little dynamic of not necessarily. We get to the point with some of our depth situations where we've gotten to this middle of the season, and we've got to make sure we can get kids to Friday night. And so you relax some of the practice plan with some of the kids that are banged up, that have some lower body injuries. And so just managing those to the best of our ability. We've got some kids that, are getting a little more practice time against the first group that need it, that need to be ready to go in on Friday night, because you really don't know what's going to happen. But over the bye week, I think we're getting a couple players back to what's more like full strength, and so that's exciting to see them get faster as the season progresses.
Well, good. As you mentioned, you had a bye week, and now you're prepping for Jacksonville.
Yes.
What do you expect to see from the Golden Eagles?
Well, we went over there last year, and it's a good little drive, and
yes. It is.
Last year against them, we came out really flat, and it was the week after a bye week. We were 4-0, and I feel like our kids, the motivation was sort of waning a little bit. And we found a way to win in the second half, and it was a really tough football game. They're very talented. They've got playmakers that are playing on both sides of the ball. It's really, really exciting to coach some of the kids like they've got that can go make something happen. And we've got a few kids like that also. But we've got to make sure that we limit big plays defensively, because they've got a couple of young men that can score from any point on the field. And I feel like I say that every single week, but this is just another week where there's some athleticism that we don't necessarily have on the defensive side of the ball, and so we've got to be really smart with the way we defend them. They're going to run the football, and if they have success running the football, it'll be a long night for us. We've got to make sure that we limit the run. They do a great job up front. They're well coached. Coach Sullivan, it's his first year over there. Have coached against him one time previous in in the second round of the playoffs last year. He was at Boaz, and so we met, and I know he's going to have a very well coached, very disciplined football team, and you can see that on film. They're going to be but I will say this, for it to be an out of region game, they are without a doubt a 5A playoff team.
Wow.
It's a really great gauge for us to see where we're at.
Absolutely.
Win, lose, or draw, I need to see a response from my football team based on how we played in our last game. Hopefully a bye week to sit and sort of marinate on the difficulties we faced the week before can produce fruit for us. And that's that. I just need to see a response, and I'm really excited to see that, to see how we respond to how we played last time out.
Okay. So the following Friday, on October 3rd, you travel to Briarwood. Now they're 3-2 on the season. They're having a pretty good season so far. What do you expect to see from the Lions?
Briarwood's another team similar to Ramsay that stacks the front end of their schedule with some really tough opponents.
Right.
And I feel like I always think back to last year and sort of compare the teams from last year to this year. And last year they really found their feet this week of the season because they play Leeds this week.
Right.
And they were winless going into that Leeds game last year, and they beat Leeds and really I feel like took control of that game, and then they came over here and absolutely took us to the woodshed. And so that'll be fresh on my kids' minds. And
good.
And we've got to be able to flush that, make sure that we don't go in intimidated, because they're a fantastic program.
Right.
I mean, their kids do things the right way. They play hard. They're technically sound. They're very well coached. They're going to be creative offensively. They're going to be creative defensively. They know their kids. They know their kids' talent, ability, and they are going to set up schematically to really play to the strengths of their team, and they do have some strengths, and so they're definitely going to be a challenge. I view them, they've already beat Ramsay, and so and I've already mentioned this to the kids. Looking at the second half of our season going into this thing, we still have an opportunity to win this region.
Yeah, you do.
And you don't want to look too far ahead. And all the cliche stuff, you take it one game at a time. But as a coach, you do have to zoom out every now and then and collect. Where are we at?
Yes.
And we still have a chance to win this region, but it now goes through Briarwood. Briarwood controls their own destiny. I feel like if we can win this week, which is the goal, going into that Briarwood game, if we can win that one, I believe they'll probably be the toughest opponent for us the rest of the season. I don't know. I haven't seen some of the games or some of the teams later on our schedule.
That's saying a lot.
It is. But the fact that they beat Ramsay, we've played Ramsay, we know what that looks like. I believe last year, I thank my lucky stars that Briarwood wasn't in the playoffs. They missed it last year, but I felt like in the back half of that season, they could have been the best team in 5A.
Wow.
They were that good, and the core of that team is still together, and I think they could be just as good this year. So that's going to be a tough test. We'll look forward to that one when the time comes. But yeah, always excited for the challenge of playing a great football program.
All right. So after this Friday, you sit right at the midpoint of your schedule. Kind of give us an assessment of the season thus far.
So far, I think we've, most years you look at the first 4 games and where we're at, and 3-1 coming out of that, you probably feel happy about it.
Right.
I can't help but feel a little disappointed in how we played against Ramsay, and so that's just fresh on our mind.
Sure.
And so right now, like I mentioned earlier, I need to see a response. I feel like our season could go either way. I think our coaching staff and the leadership on our team has to do a fantastic job of ensuring we stay motivated week to week to accomplish, to accomplish what we want to accomplish by the end of the year. Every game is a miniature 1-game season. Having a loss in region already, we have, to a certain extent, put your back against the wall. We've got to go perform, and hopefully we come out swinging. This week is huge. This game against Jacksonville is really, really important. Not for the region record. It doesn't impact where we stand in our region, unless there ends up being a tiebreaker at the end. Then it could be huge. But it doesn't impact our region standing. But I just need to see. I've still got some questions about this group.
Yeah,
I need to see what kind of team I've got.
Okay.
And that's exciting. That gives me sort of chills just saying it out loud. I want to see what kind of team I got.
Okay. So what are your goals for the back half of this season? We already know you're tracking towards region wins and that sort of thing. What are you looking forward to?
I want to see this group improve every single week. And
Okay.
that's really, I feel like if we can get better every single week, then we win the vast majority of our games.
Right.
It is really, really difficult. I could say the easy stuff, like we want to win the region. That's a goal.
Right.
Like we want to go win this region again. We want to make it 2 years in a row.
Sure.
We want to be the 1 seed coming out of this region because we know who we're matched up against. Our first round of the playoffs is matched up against Moody, Leeds, Jacksonville potentially again. St. Clair County looks good. Springville, Lincoln. It's a really strong region.
Yeah, it is.
Most folks are going to view Moody as probably the favorite coming out of the north, and so you want to make sure that you're at the top end of our region so that you can make a run in the playoffs.
Sure.
And if we end up being the 4 seed, the job is to go beat Moody in the first round, most likely if they win that region. But that's all down the road and all in front of us. The main task every single week, it really doesn't change, is to just improve.
Yeah.
Be better this next Friday night than we were the last Friday night.
Right.
And if we can do that, it makes it really easy to rest at night.
Good.
You don't get kept up. No matter what the results of a game were.
Right.
If you can say like, hey, we got better here, and here.
Yeah.
My
You get
kid-
much better sleep, don't you, Coach?
my kids are playing together. My kids are loving on each other. My kids,
Right.
and you sort of feel that, and that makes it really easy to handle whatever the results of a game are.
All right, very good. So, Coach, that's our show. We appreciate your time. As always, we appreciate yours. Join us again in a couple of weeks for another corner edition of Coach Speak.